Welcome to Miss Scarlett. Subscribe and don't miss out on Patreon. Have fun! In the dimly lit bedroom, a solitary figure stood before an ordinary closet, a sanctuary of concealed memories. Among the mundane array of formal attire, a singular piece awaited. A burgundy sweater dress, a clandestine garment holding untold stories. Its presence whispered within the confines of this domestic sanctuary, ever so quietly urging its wearer to embrace its embrace. With a momentous choice at hand, nervous breaths fogged the air. This day could signify a departure from their usual routines. It was now or never. Recalling the words of encouragement from their therapist echoed like a mantra. Take it one step at a time. The journey of authenticity begins with tiny movements forward. But what if someone sees me? The question had emerged, barely audible. Dr. Winters had smiled gently. That's exactly the point, isn't it? To be seen as who you truly are? Now, standing alone in the bedroom, those words echoed. Trembling fingers reached for the burgundy fabric, pulling it from its hiding place. Next came the black leggings, folded neatly in the back of the drawer. The ankle boots with their modest heels waited patiently by the door, purchased online months ago but never worn outside. One deep breath, then another. My name is Ellie, came the whisper to the empty room. The words felt right. They always had. For years, Caleb had existed in the outside world, working as an accountant, paying bills, making small talk with neighbors. But Ellie had only existed in private moments, in the safety of this apartment, in front of mirrors and behind locked doors. The transformation began slowly. The feeling of the leggings sliding up legs, the burgundy dress settling over shoulders, the soft wool caressing skin in a way that button-downs never could. Brown hair brushed and styled differently, softer, with a slight wave. Minimal makeup, just enough to enhance rather than mask. Standing before the mirror, Ellie emerged. Not for the first time, but perhaps for the first time with purpose beyond these walls. The mall. That was the challenge Dr. Winters had suggested. Not a neighborhood store where someone might recognize her, but somewhere with enough anonymity to feel safe, yet enough exposure to be meaningful.
Just walk through,
Dr. Winters had said.
You don't even need to buy anything. 15 minutes. That's all I'm asking.
The drive to the mall passed in a blur of nervous anticipation. Each red light became a moment of reckoning, each green light a push forward. The radio played softly, some pop song about being true to yourself. How appropriate. The parking lot loomed large and intimidating. Finding a spot far from the main entrance provided both a longer walk and fewer chances of being noticed immediately. The car engine silenced, leaving only the sound of rapid breathing. I can do this, Ellie whispered to her reflection in the rearview mirror. Her brown hair framed her face softly, and the burgundy of the dress brought warmth to her complexion. 15 minutes. The first steps from the car were the hardest. The slight heel of the ankle boots clicked against the pavement, an unfamiliar sound that seemed to announce her presence to the world. But no one turned. No one pointed. People walked to and from their vehicles, preoccupied with their own lives. The mall entrance appeared both as a gateway and a barrier. Glass doors reflected her approach, a figure in burgundy, moving with cautious determination. The moment of passing through felt monumental, crossing a threshold that had existed for years. Inside, the cacophony of the mall enveloped her, music from stores, Conversations, footsteps, the distant laughter of children, the scent of pretzels and perfume mixed in the air. Normalcy. Everyday life continuing while Ellie experienced her personal revolution. The first few steps inside were stiff, mechanical, eyes downcast, shoulders hunched slightly, a protective posture. But then Dr. Winters's voice seemed to whisper,
"Stand tall. You belong here as much as anyone."
Slowly, her posture straightened. The slight heel of the boots added height, a physical elevation that matched the gradual lifting of her spirit. The soft wool of the dress against her skin provided comfort with each movement. A group of teenagers passed, engrossed in their conversation. They glanced at her, just another shopper, another face in the crowd. No judgment, no second looks. 15 minutes. That had been the goal. But as Ellie passed the first store, then the second, a strange feeling began to emerge. Not comfort, not yet, but something adjacent to it. The possibility of comfort. The path toward belonging. The first window display caught her attention, a clothing store with mannequins dressed for fall. Without thinking, she paused, admiring a scarf that would complement her burgundy dress perfectly. For the first time since entering the mall, her mind shifted from, "I am here," to, "I want that." A normal shopping thought, unextraordinary except in its normalcy.
"Excuse me,"
came a voice from behind. Every muscle tensed. This was it. The confrontation, the judgment, the moment the world would push back against her authenticity. Turning slowly, Ellie faced an elderly woman with a kind smile. "Could you tell me if there's a restroom nearby? My eyes aren't what they used to be, and I can't seem to find the signs." The question was so ordinary, so unrelated to Ellie's internal drama, that a moment passed before she could respond. "I think..." Her voice emerged higher than usual, but steady. "There's one near the food court. To the left." The woman thanked her and moved on, the entire interaction lasting less than 20 seconds. But in those seconds, something profound had occurred. She had been addressed as herself, as a woman helping another woman with a simple question. The realization propelled her forward, down the main corridor of the mall. 15 minutes stretched to 20, then 30. The goal was forgotten as a new experience took shape, existing in the world as Ellie. A jewelry store window displayed delicate earrings. A bookstore entrance beckoned with new releases. Each storefront offered not just products but opportunities, chances to be, to browse, to exist in spaces that had previously seemed forbidden. In the food court, hunger suddenly made itself known. The simple act of standing in line for coffee became another milestone. The barista smiled professionally. "What can I get for you today?" "A vanilla latte, please," Ellie replied, her voice finding its natural pitch. "Name for the order?" A heartbeat of hesitation. "Ellie." The barista scribbled on the cup without reaction, just another name in a day full of names. But hearing it called out minutes later, "Vanilla latte for Ellie," sent a warmth through her chest that rivaled the coffee itself. Sitting at a small table, sipping her drink, Ellie observed the world around her. Families shopping together, couples holding hands, friends laughing over shared meals. The ordinariness was extraordinary. Her phone buzzed with a text from Dr. Winters. "How did it go?" Looking around at the mall, at the space she had claimed for herself, Ellie typed back, "Still here. Might stay a while longer." The response came quickly. "I'm proud of you." Those 4 words brought unexpected tears to her eyes. Quickly dabbing them away, Careful of her mascara, Ellie finished her coffee and stood. The initial fear had transformed into something else. Not quite confidence yet, but perhaps its precursor. Near a department store entrance, a display of scarves caught her attention. The burgundy dress had been a safe choice. Familiar territory in unfamiliar circumstances. But what about expanding her wardrobe? What about embracing color and texture and all the options that had been admired from afar but never explored? Entering the store required another small act of courage. Clothing sections were traditionally divided, labeled, categorized. But Ellie moved with purpose toward the women's department, where autumn colors dominated the displays. Fingertips brushed against fabrics, silk, cotton, wool blends. The sensory experience was overwhelming in its richness. A forest green scarf seemed to call to her, its color a perfect complement to the burgundy dress.
That would look lovely with what you're wearing.
The voice belonged to a sales associate, a woman perhaps in her 50s, with a professional smile and a name tag reading Patricia. Ellie froze momentarily before managing. Do you think so?
Absolutely. The green and burgundy create a beautiful fall palette. Would you like to try it on?
Such a simple question, yet so profound in its implications. Being treated as any other customer. Being seen as a woman interested in fashion, nothing more, nothing less. Yes, I would. Patricia demonstrated how the scarf could be draped in different ways. Each arrangement framed Ellie's face differently, highlighting her brown hair, complementing her features. This one suits you, Patricia concluded. The mirror is just over there if you'd like to see for yourself. The mirror. Another threshold. Ellie approached it slowly, observing her reflection in the department store lighting, harsher and more revealing than her bathroom mirror at home. But the image that greeted her wasn't harsh at all. The person in the reflection looked right. The burgundy dress, the black leggings, the ankle boots, and now the forest green scarf. Colors and textures that expressed something essential. I'll take it, Ellie decided. Not just about the scarf, but about the moment, about embracing this step forward. The transaction was mundane. A credit card passed, a receipt printed, a bag handed over with a smile and a, "Thank you for shopping with us." The name on the credit card didn't match who she was today, but the associate made no comment. With her purchase in hand, Ellie continued through the mall. 2 hours had passed since her arrival, far beyond the original 15-minute goal. Each step in her ankle boots had become more natural, her posture more relaxed, her presence more grounded. Near the central atrium, a cosmetics store gleamed with bright lights and colorful displays. Another frontier. Another possibility. Inside, the scents of perfumes and makeup created an intoxicating atmosphere. Beauty advisors assisted customers at various counters. For a moment, Ellie hesitated, unsure if she belonged in this traditionally feminine space. A young beauty advisor approached with a professional smile. "Looking for anything specific today?" The question hung in the air for a moment before Ellie found her voice. "I'm just beginning to explore makeup options. I'm not sure where to start." Something in her phrasing must have communicated more than the words themselves, because understanding flickered in the advisor's eyes. "We all start somewhere," she said warmly. "I'm Morgan. Why don't we begin with a foundation match and see where that takes us?" The next 45 minutes transformed not just Ellie's face, but her sense of possibility. Morgan demonstrated techniques with patience and encouragement, explaining each product's purpose without assumption or judgment. "Your bone structure is amazing," Morgan commented while applying a subtle highlighter. And this shade really brings out the warmth in your brown hair. Each compliment, each moment of normalization, built upon the last. When Morgan held up a mirror to show the final result, a natural look that enhanced rather than masked, Ellie barely recognized herself, not because she looked different, but because she finally looked right.
"What do you think?"
Morgan asked. "It's perfect," Ellie managed, emotion catching in her throat. The purchase of recommended products felt like investing in herself, in her future. Morgan placed everything in a sleek bag with a sample of perfume that would work beautifully with your body chemistry. Exiting the store, Ellie caught her reflection in a window. Burgundy dress, forest green scarf, subtle makeup enhancing her features, brown hair framing her face. The image aligned with something deep inside that had always been there, waiting for acknowledgement. The central clock showed nearly 4 hours had passed since her arrival. What had begun as a terrifying challenge had transformed into an afternoon of self-discovery. The mall would close soon, but Ellie wasn't ready for the day to end. Near the exit, a woman about her age sat at a small table, offering free handwriting analysis. The sign read, "Discover your true self through your handwriting." The irony wasn't lost on Ellie. "Would you like to try?" the woman asked, gesturing to the empty seat across from her. Another opportunity to be addressed as herself. Another chance to exist in the world as Ellie. "Sure," she replied, sitting carefully, conscious of her dress and posture. "I'm Vanessa," the woman introduced herself. "Just write a few sentences about your day on this card." The pen felt light in Ellie's hand as she considered what to write. Finally, the words came. "Today, I walked through the world as myself for the first time. People saw me, spoke to me, helped me find beauty. I bought a green scarf and learned how to apply highlighter." Vanessa studied the writing, then looked up with a genuine smile. "Your handwriting shows someone on the verge of transformation. See how your letters start hesitantly but grow more confident as the line progresses? That's someone finding their strength with each word." If only she knew how accurate that assessment was. "Your writing also reveals authenticity," Vanessa continued. "No artifice or pretense. That's rare." "Thank you," Ellie replied, truly touched. "That means more than you know." As the mall announced its impending closure, Ellie gathered her purchases and made her way toward the exit. The same glass doors that had seemed so intimidating hours before now merely marked a transition, not an ending. In the parking lot, the evening air felt cool against her skin. The walk to her car, ankle boots clicking rhythmically on the pavement, carried none of the fear of her arrival. Instead, each step felt like affirmation. Inside the car, she placed her bags carefully on the passenger seat, physical evidence of the day's journey. The green scarf peeked from its bag, a reminder of Patricia's kindness. The cosmetics promised future explorations of beauty on her own terms. The drive home provided time for reflection. What had changed in these few hours? Everything and nothing. The world had not shifted, but her place in it had expanded. Spaces that once seemed forbidden had welcomed her. Interactions that once seemed impossible had occurred with ordinary kindness. Back at the apartment, Ellie carried her purchases inside with a sense of achievement greater than any professional accomplishment. The mirror in the entryway reflected someone tired but radiant. Burgundy dress slightly wrinkled from hours of wear, makeup still perfect thanks to Morgan's setting spray, brown hair slightly tousled by the evening breeze. The phone rang as she set down her bags. Dr. Winters's name appeared on the screen. "Hello?" "I'm calling to check on you," the therapist said. "Your text seemed positive, but I wanted to hear your voice." Ellie sank onto the couch, suddenly aware of how physically and emotionally exhausted she felt. It was transformative. "Tell me everything." And so she did. About the elderly woman asking for directions, about Patricia and the scarf, about Morgan's makeup lesson, about Vanessa's handwriting analysis, about being seen, being addressed, being treated as the woman she was. 15 minutes turned into 4 hours, she concluded. I didn't want to leave. That's beautiful, Dr. Winters said, the smile evident in her voice. How does it feel now, being back home? The question prompted Ellie to look around the apartment, the space where Caleb had lived and where Ellie had only existed behind closed doors. The distinction suddenly seemed artificial. It feels like the walls have come down, she replied. Not just out there, but in here too. That's the thing about authenticity, Dr. Winters observed. Once you begin living it externally, the internal divisions start to heal as well. After the call ended, Ellie stood and moved through the apartment with new awareness. The closet door, when opened, no longer represented a boundary between worlds. The burgundy dress, when carefully removed and hung, was no longer a secret, but a favorite outfit with a milestone attached. In the bathroom, she studied Morgan's handiwork in the mirror, learning the contours of her own face through the subtle enhancements of makeup. The brown hair that framed her face seemed more her own somehow, as if it too had been waiting for this alignment. The forest green scarf draped over the mirror served as a reminder, not just of the purchase, but of the interaction, of being seen as a woman with style preferences and aesthetic choices. Sleep came easily that night, deep and restful in a way it hadn't been for years. The anxiety that had preceded the mall visit had transformed into a peaceful exhaustion, the satisfied fatigue of having faced a fear and found it smaller than imagined. Morning brought a new consideration. The mall had been one environment, deliberately chosen for its anonymity, but life contained many environments, many contexts, many relationships. Over coffee, Ellie made a list of next steps, practical considerations for living authentically beyond controlled excursions. Legal name change, workplace discussions, conversations with friends, medical consultations. Each item represented both a challenge and a promise. The burgundy dress had been perfect for the mall, but a full life required a complete wardrobe. The black leggings and ankle boots had served their purpose wonderfully, but seasons would change, occasions would vary. The morning stretched into planning, websites bookmarked, appointments considered, resources researched. The path forward wouldn't always be smooth, but it was finally visible, finally accessible. When the phone rang again, the caller ID showed a friend's name, someone who had only ever known Caleb. A moment of hesitation. Then, with the confidence built from 4 hours in a shopping mall, from a green scarf and a makeup tutorial and a handwriting analysis, Ellie answered. Hello, this is Ellie speaking. A pause on the other end. Then, I think I have the wrong number. Another threshold, another opportunity for authenticity. Actually, you don't, she replied, her voice steady. I have something important to share with you. The conversation that followed was just the first of many. Some would be easier than others. Some relationships would strengthen, while others might falter. But standing in her apartment,
Wearing a simple robe, brown hair still tousled from sleep, Ellie felt the certainty that had begun in a burgundy sweater dress and grown through each small interaction. She belonged in the world, not just in private moments or curated experiences, but in the full complexity of ordinary life. The mall had been the beginning, not the destination. On the counter, the forest green scarf caught the morning light. Such a simple object, yet it represented so much. A compliment from a stranger, a moment of being seen, the beginning of a collection that would reflect not a hidden self, but a whole person. Touching the soft fabric, Ellie smiled. Dr. Winters had been right. Small steps led to transformations greater than could be imagined from the starting point. The journey would continue through challenges and joys, setbacks and triumphs, but it would continue as her authentic journey, one step at a time. The burgundy sweater dress would always hold a special place in her closet and her heart, the outfit that had carried her through that first pivotal day. But now it would be joined by other choices, other expressions, other aspects of Ellie that were waiting to be discovered and shared with the world. The mall receipt sat on the kitchen counter, a simple piece of paper that now seemed like a certificate of courage. Next to it, Ellie placed her list of next steps, practical and daunting but necessary and right. Outside, the day beckoned with possibilities. The world continued as it always had, but her place in it had expanded, had clarified. The anxiety that had preceded yesterday's journey had been replaced with something closer to anticipation. Running her fingers through her brown hair, Ellie made another cup of coffee and opened her laptop. Research to do, appointments to make, a life to build, not from scratch, but from the foundation that had always existed beneath the surface. The journey had begun with a burgundy sweater dress and a therapist's challenge. It would continue through each choice, each step, each moment of living authentically. There would be difficult days ahead, certainly. But having walked through the mall for 4 hours as herself, having been seen and addressed and accepted, Ellie knew that the path forward, however complex, was the only one worth taking. Her phone chimed with a message from Dr. Winters. "How are you feeling today?" Looking around at her apartment, at the green scarf draped over the chair, at the makeup carefully arranged on the bathroom counter, at the list of next steps waiting on the kitchen table, Ellie typed her reply. "Like I've finally stepped into the right story." And she had. The soft wool of that burgundy dress against her skin, the slight heel of those ankle boots giving her extra height, these sensations had awakened something fundamental. Not a transformation, but a recognition. Not a becoming, but an acknowledging. Ellie set down her phone and picked up the forest green scarf, draping it around her shoulders as she moved to the window. Outside, people walked to cars, checked mail, lived their ordinary lives. Soon she would join them, not for a carefully planned excursion, but for the simple act of existing in the world as herself. The mall had been just the beginning. Life, real, authentic, challenging, beautiful life, awaited beyond these walls. And for the first time in years, the prospect brought not dread, but anticipation. Ellie was ready. One small step at a time.
Thanks for watching, my girlies! Be sure to check out Patreon for more!